And we are live. Good morning, everybody out in Facebook and YouTube land. It's Merritt here with Master of One Coaching, and I have a very special guest today, my friend and colleague for many years now,
Yes.
Ali. It's so nice to have you here. Thank you so much for coming today. I really appreciate you being here.
It's a pleasure. There's a pandemic going on, and it's so strange. Like I just said to you, preparing for this, I've been thinking that we're going to be in a coffee shop, and that's how I'm trying to, figure it out. I got onto the Zoom game late. If you do it properly, it's very efficient. I feel very comfortable speaking with you, and the conversations I've had with other people. I've become even more productive, which seems cool,
Isn't that interesting? It's so interesting, right? Yeah, it happens to a lot of people, I think, yeah. So, and we have Amy on. Hello, Amy. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Hello.
And so I guess I want to start with, for people who don't know you, which doesn't seem to me like very many people don't know you.
No one knows me. Who knows anyone, right?
Yeah. But so for people who don't know you or haven't seen you in a while, tell us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you are right now.
All right, definitely. I got here because I listened to you. I listened to my parents, and I listened to people that care about me. I'm a listener. A friend of mine, I was going to say a mentee, but a friend of mine, Amir J. Barksdale, my brother, mentioned earlier today when we were speaking that, what is it? Is it you or what is it? And he said, you just pay attention. It's 80% you pay attention. I pay attention. I can't even say to what matters. I just pay close detail. I love intricacies. And I have to say that paying close attention to my parents growing up helped put me to where I'm in today as a 32-year-old. So where did I start? Who am I? What's my story? I'm Ali T. Muhammad. I was born Tawfiq Ali Muhammad. Tawfiq means a gift from God. Ali means one who will excel. And Muhammad means praiseworthy. My parents, Imam Dr. Salahuddin Mustafa Muhammad and Sister Fonda Kit Muhammad are my parents. They are amazing, remarkable people. You don't get to choose what family you're born into. And I've learned through listening and paying attention to what others deal with that the reason why I'm privileged and the reason why I'm blessed is based off of them, period. I was born in Horton Hospital in Orange County in Middletown, New York. I lived there until I was about 6 years old. And I moved to Newburgh, New York with my family across from the masjid that my parents did a lot of community work out of. They're moving closer to work. Again, something else I've learned, we'll talk later about. There's theories out there in practical sense that it makes sense to live closer to where you work. Economically, for your family, humanely, emotionally, all those things. And so that's what was happening. And where we moved to was staff housing. My father worked for the correctional facility, Downstate Correctional Facility and Fishkill Correctional Facility. My mother worked for Round Belt Middle School, English teacher, one road. And so as I often say, growing up, there was a slim line, right? That demarcation line. It was not much that separated the school to prison pipeline for me in multiple levels and layers. For my family, again, things I'll learn later. So just as a kid, I'm thinking, oh, wow, we have all this land. It looks like the Lion King. It looks like the safari in Lion King because in our backyard was the prison, but in our front yard was undeveloped land. There was no Beacon High School there. It was just a bunch of land that was tended by people and playing around there with these big, like weeds or what, I guess it was the hay that they would bound up and they would sell production, right? And so I was seeing all this stuff when I was younger, not knowing what it was. I just thought that I lived in a magical place. The superintendent had his own castle, and it was on taxpayers' dollars. He didn't really live there. And multiple superintendents, there was one that lived there. And we would go play up there, and there was a little pond that would freeze when we were younger, and we would play pretend ice skating. Not that I actually knew what that actually was. And so I grew up in Beacon, and I had a really healthy, loving childhood. The youngest son of my parents, I often was able to see what they were doing within the community, whether it was Sister Clara Muhammad School in the city of Newburgh, whether it was building the Islamic Community Center and being the 3-year-old sleeping on the musalla floor and half, low-key paying attention, half-key not. They always tell me I was called the diaper baby, which I don't understand exactly, but I'm assuming it was because I needed to learn. I was potty training while they were building a mosque.
You just started walking around in diapers.
Can you imagine like having to deal with that, right? And I needed to talk to my father more about those stories. So growing up in Beacon, I went to Beacon High School. I went to Glenham Elementary School. I went to Rombell Middle School. I went to Beacon High School. I went through so many different transformations. I learned so much about myself and others. And I participated. I was very active, from either cleaning up and helping my teachers later, because it's what I was taught, to being extremely rebellious and oppositionally defiant when I didn't think something was right or just, because I didn't think so, which I've learned throughout my maturation. It's not so much about what I think, and it is about what's right. And so learning that and understanding that, and the devil's in the details, the angels in the intricacy. Mm-hmm. So pay attention to those things. And I started to fall in love with that. And going through high school, playing football and sports, and being the kid that was cool with the popular kids, but different, right? My parents taught me that I was Muslim first. And that resonated with me, and it made a lot of sense. I was other, and I am Black. And we spoke about our faith, and it was so important. And as I've grown and I'm still practicing Muslim. I believe in my faith, and I love my spirituality. I've grown so much through all this, where I realized we're humans first and foremost. We're run race, and all this, the upbringing that I had, I realized was very different. And went to college at Dutchess. My parents said they're not going to contribute to me not doing my best. Mm-hmm. Based off of actions of others, my brothers, myself, evidence. And I just said, all right, whatever, I'll do all right. Didn't do all right at Dutchess. They said they stuck to their word. They stuck to what they said they were going to do. Thank you for that. I used to say they handicapping me. Why are you handicapping me? Why are you handicapping me, right? Can you imagine?
That's called integrity right there. Right? That's called integrity.
And so as they handicapped me, and actually truly took away the handicap, I decided long ago that I'll never step in anyone's shadow. And I went, and I was like, my parents, sorry. My parents,
Whitney for us. That's awesome. You're the first person to make a Whitney reference on my
It's just it, right? This is what I was taught. So if I'm awesome. And I went off, I say now, I ran away to college. I ran away from home. And I went to Johnson & Wales, and I went to community college there. And then I went to Johnson & Wales for a few months, and I survived. I thrived to a certain extent, and I didn't do well academically. I did do well socially, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot, and that forced me to drop out of college. And I came home, and I decided, Ali, you need to stop drinking, which I was doing because I like to, even though it was against my religion. So I stopped drinking when I was 21, not because of my religion, but because I wanted to be more. Mm-hmm. And I felt like an alcoholic, to be honest. Mm-hmm. We don't talk about that. Mm-hmm. People don't talk about the abuse of alcohol as youngsters and how that is alcoholism. We just view it as social, how it affects our brains and things like that. And so it's pretty about, 10 years sober over that now. And again, I don't talk about this because I don't want to. And I said it now and I slipped up. But the point is,
I think it's beautiful. It's beautiful to talk about it. So many people need to hear this thing, right? And the strength that's coming from this. So it's awesome.
It's real, right? And I came home and I stopped, and I needed to become a productive member of my society. That's what I felt. I wasn't going to be in school, so I needed to stay productive. And so I started writing poetry. And I started working on a book called The Elaborations of Love and expressing myself in different ways. And I coached football. I coached Pop Warner football and got involved in the community because I didn't want my brain to go to mush. This is the most important muscle that we have in our bodies. This is the most important, or the largest organ, our skin, and it's important what we put on that, the clothing. In our brain, what do we feed ourselves? Digest and ingest. And so I did a good job, a hell of a job giving back to my community and stayed focused and humble. And my dream when I was a kid was always to get involved. I wanted to lift my station. I didn't want to live as a staffer, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted more. Not the American dream that I was living, which was a nightmare in reality. More so, we deserve better. And this person developed, and I didn't think I had that opportunity when I was struggling and forcing myself to go after my own trials and tribulations. Can you imagine? Living in the city of Newburgh now, saying that story to the young brothers I'm working with, that created the crisis almost,
Mm.
right? It was necessary for me, but don't do that. These young people are living through this
Yeah.
every single day,
Yeah.
right? And so the difference is, as people, as human beings that we have, whether they look like me or not. And so I started to learn more, and I ran for office. I lost, yada yada yada. The politics.
Hang on, before you did that, you ran for office and won. So let's not.
I ran for office. I lost the first time. It's actually
Okay.
21-year-old. And then I ran again.
Okay.
You knock me down, I'm gonna get back up.
Yeah.
It was more. I lost by 30-something votes, and I knocked on 30% more doors. I reached 30% more people. I continued doing what I was doing. A young brother from the community, one of Mr. Griffin's sons, said, Ali, don't stop doing what you're doing. He actually said this after I was elected, but it was enforcement. It was reinforcement of, you don't need to switch it up. And so I won the next election. I learned about politics then, which we don't need to get into too much right now. 2 years before that, I was the golden child. 2 years after, they threw me a bone, and I almost didn't accept that bone because of my pride, and I wasn't able to be humble, but I guess I did humble myself. I was served for 4 years from 2013 to 2017, and I did a hell of a job. I attempted my best to commit and communicate with my community, not just the people that looked like me or that I felt like I identified with, but all the underserved folks, firstly, and the people that maybe I didn't connect with or understand. I served them. I learned the hard way that I'm not representing you when I'm elected. I'm serving you. I was your public servant. You were a constituent of mine at the time, and this was right? And there's an epic picture of me and your son that I will keep forever. It was amazing. I felt
it was a great moment. Yeah,
a great moment. And I mean, little things like I remember someone, again, I don't want to say his name, but he said, we watch your show every day. And you might not be our favorite character because we like somebody else, but we really pay attention to you. And the fact that you put your cell phone out there, the fact that you show up and you hold your account accountable, you make it accessible. You make government accessible for folks, which I learned that it's not so easy to understand these things. Yeah. Even if I am a layperson, I would post the agenda every single week for years. Doing my best. And I guess the thing that I love most is that I'm on public record. I have a voting record. I know what I stood for. I saw how things were operated. And I don't really talk about it because I'm a firm believer that we live in the present. I might not portray that because I'm an artist. And there's a science to a lot of this also. But the past and the future don't technically exist. In my opinion, from my perspective, from my understanding, right? What I believe, that winning and losing are figments of the imagination. You may have heard good things about me. You may have heard negative things about me. You most likely have not heard that from someone who knows me or has worked with me. It's hearsay. If you choose to believe those things, regardless if it's positive or negative, that's what you choose to believe based off of what you choose to see and want to accept. And for me, that has kept me very humble. Because it's about doing the work. And I did that, and I got caught up in some politics because there's a difference between politics, right? There's a difference between public service, and there's a difference between governing. And I've learned these things. I'm learning these things. And I'm adept in certain areas. And it's beautiful because my father taught me that human service is the best service that you can get into, son. That's what he said to me, not for everybody else. And these young brothers and sisters in Newburgh and that I've been working with throughout the Hudson Valley this past year have reinvigorated me and revitalized me. They reminded me that it's not about your personality. They reminded me because they believed that I was getting disgusted with people as if that was as if I expected something from them. And it's like, no, I don't expect things. I'm disgusted by their actions and decisions and lack thereof, right? The silence of your friends. I've been dealing with that for a long time. And then I heard them say it's about the personality and willingness. Do they have the personality and willingness to step up, stand up, and show out, right? Does LeBron James, I'll say his name, have the personality and willingness to boycott the entire season, to shut it down, to stop? And I can say that Madden and EA Sports and all these people have done a lot more, but are you willing to stop doing what you're doing? And I learned that through them. And so that led to where I am today. And I left my job with the Dutchess County government in October. And it was when we were meeting in 2018 and 2019, you were really helping me with my transition and things I was dealing with, the gremlins, the things that I didn't think I was capable of, literally leadership. My dad's going to be mad that I'm drinking out of my left hand. Muslims are supposed to drink out of your right. I do best. That's the way of the prophet. I do as best as I can. I'm left.
I didn't know that. That's an interesting. I'd be interested to find out why that is.
I'm ambidextrous because of that, probably. And so I just learned a lot. And I left that job because I couldn't stay in a position that wasn't serving myself and wasn't serving the people that I wanted to. This is not a shot or an attack at anyone. This was what I had to do. I could critique anyone. And I'm the toughest critic of myself. I hold mirrors in front of myself and others. And so I had to leave. If you're willing to build a $200 million jail that I supported at one time because we needed humane spaces for folks, I thought it was the right thing and it was the wrong decision to make, right? And I actively focused on making sure that we keep people off that track, right? Because I saw the mistake that I made, even a slight error, that became a major error in my head, a gremlin of mine. $200 million versus $1.5 million for youth service doesn't add up. And based off conversations, based off of the public, based off of what's needed, we weren't creating that. And so I had to leave and focus on what I can do within the community. And
that's a great transition that you just made there. So I know you are like bringing fire. Like there's just so much fire happening right here. It's just amazing. And I just want to just remind everybody too who just joined us, who are kind of coming in and out, that my guest here is Ali T. Muhammad. He's an amazing community leader and has been served in public office and for the county government, and is now a founder of a nonprofit. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And so you're talking about the young people you're working with and how they're inspiring you and what you're learning from them. And I see behind you is Next Step Hudson Valley.
Oh, there it is.
There it is. So let's talk a little bit about you and being in the present, right? So all the wisdom that you gained from your family, from your experience, from the maturation you've gone through. And just as a quick tidbit, you and I met when were you running or were you already in? I can't remember if you were running.
I was already elected.
Already elected,
I was running for re-election.
Okay.
And I was feeling myself. I was feeling great. I was falling off a broken leg. You know what I mean? Like there's this classic picture of my brother Delexis pushing me in a wheelchair. And I just got this mean mug on because at this point, the local Democrats understood that I was not going to be controlled by anybody locally in a small level. No one really cares about how the sausage is made. And that's fine. I've come to grips with that. And my team was with me, my brothers, and I'm very critical and I critique others and myself, and I am working on my dragon tongue. I am.
Well, and so the interesting thing about that, because you do have so much fire energy coming from, you're like, I have so much things to say and so much passion. And sometimes that can get us into trouble too, right? And I know you've experienced that too. And so have I. So that's where passion comes from though, right? We have to learn how to channel that and focus it, which it's a process. It's always a process. Yeah.
Indeed it is.
Well, tell me a little bit more about Next Step Hudson Valley.
Excellent. So throughout my unique experience, I was on boards. I served on the Clearwater board. I served on multiple boards. I had the experience of learning, I can't say really from Pete Seeger, but I saw how he moved. I had an opportunity to live in a community that was doing pretty well, in terms of things. And I also understood that government is not the only way. I've always believed that. And that certain people are able to do certain things. And so through nonprofit work, you can address and apply pressure that's needed. And so I started a basketball league when I came back from college, a part of my coaching, because my friends and people were complaining about nothing to do for us. And I'm like, oh, well, there's a bunch of us. I'm not really a bowler. I'm not at all a bowler, but I can do this. And we can do this. And so for years, we've had the Terrence Wright League where we played basketball. Terrence passed away when we were freshmen. It was disturbing. It was weird. It was the first time that I really understood or saw death from one of my peers. And I wanted to keep his name going in the light of recognition for us. And hey, we're taking back what's ours, essentially. We're taking up space before I even knew what taking up space was. So the Terrence Wright League, we're doing it for years, trying to get better. You got someone that's not a baller, but a creative person trying to help and organize. And then I heard critique from some people in the community, the Hudson Valley community. And I say critique, but really it's old moms saying things pearls of wisdom, saying things that had nothing to do with me, but I take things personally. And when I say I take them internally, even if it's not about me, because I want to know how I can do better. And so I heard an activist say something about, well, running basketball leagues for people is cool, but we need more. I don't think that was directly at me, but I took it like it was, if the shoe fits. And I wanted to do more. And I knew we needed to do more. And that's when I started understanding about literacy and how literacy rates are low in people like my communities and poor people's communities and other things like that. So we need to uplift that. We need to raise that. Oh, go back to my parents, the work that they did, right? Engagement, participation, community, movement, unifying through education. And so I started a non-for-profit and a focus for an after-school program called the Terrence Wright Organization. I've spoken about it a couple of different times. It is the first technical nonprofit organization that I've created, and it's integral to the success of everything else. I wasn't able to move it forward. I wasn't ready to move it forward. I've been planning it. I had everything ready, and I was working towards certain things to move it with the Beacon Recreation Center. Mark Price and I had multiple conversations. They didn't, as I advocated for a rec center for years, they wanted the proof of concept. Nobody utilizes it, right? Now they're putting the back on the people, accountability on the people. So it's not the BCC days, which you might not understand, and some people listening may. We need to take up space. And so I made sure that we took up space and organized around that. They still didn't want to listen. So I decided to do it on my own, nonprofit. Wasn't prepared to, we're not ready. And so it leads us to where we are today. Leaving my job and understanding what we need, I started Next Step Hudson Valley, and a mentor, a friend of mine, she's going to hate that I actually name drop her. Her name is Cor Lesko. And she worked with me and really spent time with me. She worked in youth services, and she took every lunch break to work with me. A troubled child. And it was amazing. And so now I'm having leadership meetings with you at coffee shops, and her lunch break was different than me. So now I'm getting double time of learning and experience from other people that have done an experience. And that led me to be able to make this decision. And when I started protesting and marching and demonstrating again this year, which I was very hesitant to do. I've been around doing this since Occupy, since this before they had the name Black Lives Matter, when Trayvon was murdered. And I've been active, and I wasn't ready to do it again this year. I've been tired because I see everybody come and go. I see how whatever. And so positive, right? And so here we are. And that's when I started linking and connecting with Ahmad Free Cohen, Devontae Johnson, who just joined the Navy. Shout out to you. Be safe, my brother. Amir J. Barksdale, Ruben Bowden, Brandon Thomas, and others. But we became a core. We started uniting, like, oh, we're going to show up these meetings, we're going to show up these rallies, and we should do more. And I'm the wily, reluctant vet that just, it's coming back.
Are you the old guy in the room now? Wait
I'm like the second, third oldest guy. We're trying to get other people.
How did that happen?
I'm disgruntled and I'm angry. I'm not saying nothing. You need to speak. I don't got nothing to say. You know what I mean? It's like, and it's going and it's amplifying and uplifting their voices. And we really built this brotherhood, this camaraderie. Yes. And then it's like, all right, well, what's next? Everybody's looking for what's next. And so I decided to come up with something based off my experience of we're going to protest. We're going to mobilize. We're going to protest, organize, mobilize, and actualize. 4 phases. And then we decided that we're going to come up with a how-to guide and the Civics 845 guide. And I essentially said to the brothers, and it started out with 5 other brothers, what do you want and how can we achieve this? And let's do it. And then it went to what are we going to call ourselves? We don't need to organize, but people will ask who we are because we're hitting each other up. We're showing up for each other. We're continuing to show up for each other. And we did. And then I focused on Next Step Hudson Valley as a way to show what's next. And we focus on human rights. We focus on education, equitable education. We focus on elections. And we focus on urban regeneration. What I believe are very key components, pillars, as we have a foundation, right? Terrence Wright Organization, our Human Union, which started before all of this, is Mutual Aid, which my friend Michael Tao from New York City put me onto. I didn't know what Human Union, I'm in my own, I don't got blinders like this, but I'm out here. You know what I mean? And I need to stay focused. And I started doing more research. And this is exactly what we do. Whatever you want to call it, whatever label you want, give back to others because humans need support. And we started doing that. And I incorporated as one conglomerate. Next Step Hudson Valley. Melanin Unchained is a 501c3 focused on the community in the city of Newburgh. We're hyper-focused on the city of Newburgh and our neighbors' needs. We're focused on a wellness assessment. We're cleaning up. We're doing clothing drives. We're doing the things that these young people in our group, now we have more young people of color, women in our group as we're forming, and we're creating this opportunity. And our issues overlap with other people's issues.
Yeah, you bet.
And so that's when now it makes more sense with Next Step Hudson Valley, where we can go to Wayanda and fight the environmental justice. We could pop out to Poughkeepsie or Beacon and focus on urban regeneration or activism and support others there, right? And we can stay home with our team who needs to be there, and Melanin Unchained focus on the city of Newburgh's issues. I have a unique experience, and that's what I've been bringing to the table, and I'm uplifting others, amplifying others' voices. I'd rather work from the back. Only run for positions. I've only stepped up because we've needed it. Not because I've said we needed it, because others. We might not share it. There's so much that we don't share, right? I often say that we share 2% of our life or 5% of what we want to, no matter what, no matter how. It doesn't bother me. That's how it is. If you want to tap in, tap in.
Well, I want to, I mean, I want to capture all of what you just said. And I'm so excited to have the replay of this and put out the subsequent materials we're going to have, because you have so much wisdom that you've just dropped. And I'm like, my head is spinning a little bit. But you always bring such incredible wisdom and energy. And it's one of the reasons I was so excited to have you here today. All right. So you got Next Step Hudson Valley. You're working with young people. You are learning about leadership and service from behind rather than out front, and doing both when necessary, right? But it's the power of that, about leading from behind. If there is one thing that you could leave our audience with today, just one kind of golden nugget of wisdom, wrap it up in a bow for us, what would that be?
If you're paying taxes, pay attention. And apply pressure. Yeah. I should have done right there on there. Pay attention and apply pressure. Pressure bursts pipes. It also makes diamonds. We don't know what we don't know, and we can't assume to. I'm willing to work with people that I think I don't like. And quite often when I've done that, I've learned that we have many differences, and we share in those. And we should unite in our similarities and our differences. The only way to do that is through conversation, communication, movement, and unity.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So how can people get a hold of you? Where can they find you to do the work?
St. Louis. No, let me stop. I'll take myself. Shout out to Nelly, though. I like the country.
Oh, look at you. You're so prepared.
I'm getting there. I'm learning from the young bros.
So that's Next Step HV, Melanin Unchained, and standwithali@gmail.com with your email.
Yes.
So, and those are on all the social channels, or I know you're on Instagram.
Essentially, for all social media channels, honestly, the best thing you could do to me is just reach out. I'm very accessible. I've learned to set boundaries because I was accused of being too accessible once. Working at Quint, doesn't even matter. And these gremlins, right? These gremlins that live in your head. It's like, I gotta show. Oh, my smile. They think I'm too nice, and all these things that we have to deal with, and then learning and understanding that others have those same inadequacies and insecurities. Essentially, I guess I am insecure. I'm insecure about certain things, and I battle through those things. And it's not because of who I am, but it's based on how I'm perceived and misunderstood. Bob Marley said, "To understand me, you need to be me."
And listen, pay attention, right? I mean, we're, just like you said, we build bridges through conversation, and monsters live in the dark, right? So shedding light on what we're afraid of, what we're anxious about, what we worry about, what we don't understand. We shed light on that, and all of a sudden, magic happens, right? Love happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Can I interview you?
What? Say it again.
Can I switch this, or we don't have time for that?
Yeah. You can say something. Sure.
How are you doing? Let me know who you are. You step into that.
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thanks for we're growing. We're helping more people. We're creating some impact out there in the world. We're helping other leaders create incredible impact. And so I'll mention real quickly, if you're interested in finding more about Ali, certainly reach out to him through the channels that he just mentioned. If you want to find out about how to get started as a leader or how to reinvent yourself in a leadership role or in your life as a leader, please visit masterofonecoaching.com. Get on my newsletter. There's a free download there, a 7-day leadership journal, which is available to everybody, very accessible on that level. Thank you.
And I can tell you straight up, working with Merritt works. She believes. I don't know who to look to, how to look. We got a couple people on my Instagram live. Leadership matters. Working with Master of One, Merritt will help you internally in the movement. We have to say of saying that it starts within. Mm-hmm. I've heard in sports, will from within and all the things. The work begins and continues within. And that's why I feel very, very fulfilled, because I know the external work won't be seen or fulfilled in this lifetime. But the work that we do internally can. And so thank you for helping me get closer.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for inspiring me and others. You're Maddie Barchetto says that you
inspire.
And you are. You absolutely are. You inspire me. In fact, last tidbit before we go. So when you and I first met, we're talking about my kids and we're talking about getting to a beacon, and I was new there, and I was like the crazy white lady on the hill with the kids running around in diapers. Up and down the street, and you and I met, and you so grounded me, and you were so kind and welcoming and supportive, and just I really appreciated that from the get-go. And I was so inspired by what you were doing that when I wanted to finish my master's degree, do you remember this?
Yes.
I took you to lunch, I think, and we had a conversation, and I wrote a paper on how brilliant you are and what you're doing in the community, and it got me in it, of course. So
yeah, I need that so I can put that up.
Definitely.
You know about this stuff, that's just nice. Now, but yes, I do remember that, and I know where we ate, and it's a good connection. And sometimes people don't see that, and I don't know, maybe I should share it more. And this is us sharing that. So thanks for reaching out. It is Black History Month. We're making history. We don't need to talk about it. It's American history. We're making human history.
Yes,
100 years from now, people will look at what we're doing and realize what we did wrong as a race. And that's so important. Mm-hmm. And I believe that's why it's so important to document things and be involved and to participate. So thanks for participating and involving me and engaging me and loving me.
It's always my pleasure. And what we did wrong as a collective culture too, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. As individuals, we create the collective society.
Yep, that's it. Whew, so much wisdom. Can we come back? We'll talk more some other time. Okay, good. All right, good. More to come from Ali. He's got some amazing things coming up, so stay tuned to his channels because you're gonna want to find out what he's doing. It's big. It's good. It's good stuff. All right. Thank you everybody for watching, and Ali, thank you for being here. And if you stay on just a second after we end, I'll just.
You got it.
Give her a second, but thanks everyone out there. And if you didn't catch the whole thing, please catch the replay, and more snippets and more blogs will be out in the next coming weeks. So stay tuned. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
Peace be with you.